Land Rover Defender was in production since 1983 and finally left production in 2016, and the series models date all the way back to 1947. We only got a taste of the Defender for a few model years in the mid-90s here in America, but now Land Rover has brought the nameplate back in a big way for the 2020 model year, and I'm going to show you what the new Defender is all about. So let's check out the exterior of the new Defender. And the Defender always had an iconic look. They barely changed it for decades. So this is the first time there's ever really been an all new Defender. And they had to keep those iconic boxy looks, but bring it into the modern era. And I think they've done that so well. You've got square designs everywhere. You still have this sort of industrial plating here on the roof here. You can even get a snorkel as part of an off-road package, as part of an adventure design package. You've still got Defender written big across the hood here. You've got these really cool new LED headlights. I love how the bumper is sort of this metal finish. You get a little over 11 inches of ground clearance here. It beats the Jeep Wrangler in this regard, gives this vehicle amazing approach and departure angles, and because we have air suspension, you can raise this up to give it even better off-roading ability, and you can wade about 35 inches of water. It's like crazy how much this thing can wade through. Now, coming around the side here, we've got optional wheels, even on the SE trim, which is what we have here. You do not get these wheels as standard. They are optional, but I love the way they look. We have the Defender 110, which is about 198 feet long overall because it's the 4-door model. You can also get the Defender as a 92-door. That's about 180 inches long, so it's a lot significantly shorter. This square here is a controversial styling cue. I happen to like it. I think it looks kind of cool. You also have the glass up here. That's pretty neat as well. You can get this as a black roof. There's a lot of ways to change the appearance of this vehicle. They have things called the Urban Pack, the Adventure Pack. So you can make this look more of like an on-road vehicle or an off-road vehicle, depending on what you like. You can even get boxes here, little cargo boxes on the side. You can get like a roof ladder to go up to the roof with a little roof cargo box up there. But no matter what you do, you're going to have your big spare tire here. That has always been a Defender cue. And just like the outgoing Defender, you've got small little taillights. I think they look awesome. I think everything about this vehicle looks awesome. You might think it looks controversial, but I think it looks tough, rugged, but also luxurious as well. All right, so now let's hop inside the new Defender where, again, Land Rover has managed to capture the spirit of the original while bringing the Defender into a modern era. This interior is so different from, I think, any other cabin I've ever been in that I have had to create a new word to describe it. I'm gonna call it industrial chic because somehow you get in here and you're like, oh, this is very basic. It feels kind of like a truck. We've got exposed bolts here on the door. We have this sort of unfinished material that feels kind of like metal. It's actually like a rubberized material. Everything feels very industrial, very solid, very tough. But then again, you have leather on the seats, but mixed with like a cloth on the outside to make everything durable. But then you have leather on the steering wheel and leather on the seats. They're heated and ventilated. The controls are all modern. It's a blend of modern, industrial, and durable. I've never seen an interior like this. I think this is one of the best interiors I've been in all year. Bravo, Land Rover. This is fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the technology that's in here. We have two very nicely sized screens. We've got a screen in front of you that handles your gauges, trip information, all of that good stuff. You can have it, I have it as basic gauges now with a speedometer and tachometer with my information in the middle. You can also have it be a full map. So if you don't want to have your map here on the middle screen, you can have your full map in front of you here. It's controlled using this awesome controller here that actually changes as you push the buttons. So as you see, I have like a phone, skip buttons, things like that. If I push this, now it becomes a directional arrow key to control the different menu items. That's pretty cool. Now, Over here, we have our main touchscreen. This is a brand new infotainment system that Jaguar Land Rover are going to start putting in all of their cars. I love how easy it is to use. It feels very intuitive, like a laptop or like an iPad sort of, where the touch is very quick to respond. Everything is very simple, quick to control. I love the layout. You can either have it like this or you can have it sort of as apps, as you see here. There's a ton of cool things that you can do here, including wade sensing. We're not planning to take this through any rivers, but it'll actually detect the level of water that you're driving through, which is a really cool function. You can also look at the vehicle dimensions here. So we can look at how tall the vehicle is, whether it's in its on-road or off-road settings. So this is where it is in its normal settings. You can lower the car by about 2 inches. You can raise it by almost 6 inches, which is really awesome with that 4-corner air suspension. And it raises really quickly. It goes right up, drops right down. Very cool, much quicker than I've seen it done in other vehicles. We do have some physical controls as well. It's not all here on the touchscreen. I love the way that they've simplified the climate controls. You just have 2 dials here that control the temperature. If you push those, you're going to get access to your heated and ventilated seat controls, which is pretty cool. Push this, and then this control becomes the fan speed. That's pretty interesting. And over here, if you push this button, that's going to activate our terrain response. We're going to try that out a little bit later when we get this vehicle off-road. That puts it in all of its different modes. We also have some of our other off-road controls, ride height settings, things like that here. You notice the shifter is kind of this weird looking thing that sits here on the dashboard. The reason why they mounted it on the dashboard is because you can get the Defender with a jump seat, sort of like an old pickup truck or a Lincoln Town Car. This can, instead of being the center console that you see here, it can be a jump seat, so you fold that up and you can get 3 people across here. So you can get the Land Rover Defender as either a 5-seater, a 6-seater with the jump seat, or as we have it here as a 7-seater with an optional 3rd row that I'll show you later. And speaking of the center console, it is full of storage. The Defender, you're gonna love this car if you have tons of little things you wanna put all over your car. You've got this entire dashboard here that's all open. You've got a little charging port here as well, so you can just stick stuff all over the place. You have lower storage down here. You have your awesome cup holders here. You have a wireless charger here. You have a very nice sized armrest here that folds all the way back so that your rear passengers can kind of use it as a little table, and you can get a cool box in here as part of an optional package. So I absolutely love the amounts of storage that are in here as well. And there's tons of other thoughtful things too. For example, you have your normal sun visors. You have a middle sun visor, which I think will come in handy if you get that middle jump seat. That's always been a Land Rover thing, so they just wanted to throw it in as a nod to the past. And I will say that the visibility in here is not great when you have the rear seats, especially the 3rd row seat up with the headrests, and you also have the spare tire back there blocking a little bit of your view, but you have a rear view camera mirror that helps eliminate a lot of that. So we have the Land Rover Defender 110, which is the 4-door model. And just like the Wrangler Unlimited, I think that this is the one people are really gonna buy because it's the one that's better as a family vehicle. You've got a little over 39 inches of legroom back here, which is really nice especially for an off-road capable vehicle like this. I have plenty of room back here. I can also slide this seat forward and backwards to give myself a little more or less room. I also have this little lever here that can recline it just a little bit. These seats are perfectly comfortable. We have a ton of USBs here. So I have 2 USBs here in the center, as well as normal car outlets here. I've got my climate control back here as well for the back seat. And then over here, I have another USB port on the back of the seat. And you can actually plug in a little mount here for like an iPad or an iPhone, so you don't have to hold it in your hand. You can mount it here and have it charging at the same time. That is really cool. And another innovative feature here is that we kind of have these little blind spot monitors here on the door. So if you're getting out in traffic, the kids will see this little light in case a car is approaching, and it knows to let them know to be safe when getting out. Now, I mentioned when I was in the front seat that there are 3 ways that you can configure a Defender 110. You can get it either as a 5-seater, you can get it as a 6-seater with that interesting jump seat, or you can get it how we have this vehicle as a 7-seater with an optional 3rd row. But as I'm going to show you, that 3rd row isn't exactly very useful. It's more of what you can use in a pinch. You can slide this seat forward manually, but as you can see, not a very big opening to get in. Luckily, there are grab handles to make this a little bit easier. Kids are going to be able to do this, but oh man, I do not fit back here very well. This is more so an homage to the jump seats that you used to be able to get in the old Defenders where they sort of faced in towards each other. But yeah, you can't exactly sit back here for a very long time. Although I do have these nice little windows, so at least I feel a little bit airy, and I do have some climate controls back here as well. So in terms of trunk space, the Defender does quite well actually, although not with the third row up, I must admit. You only have 10.7 cubic feet of storage back here, but if you pull these straps, you can fold down these two jump seats, and then you got to put some effort into it. And now you have 34 cubic feet of storage back here. So that's not bad at all. We do have some grocery hooks here, which is quite nice. And you do have this sort of soft cover that goes over everything here. And I really love the air suspension, how you can really slam the back end of this down to make it a little easier to put stuff in and out of here. You can also raise it. I'm not sure why you would want to do that from back here. And when you fold the second row down, you're going to get 68 cubic feet of storage. And I should note that if you do not get the third row back here, you get a little bit more total storage because they're able to lower the floor a little bit. So you have about 78 cubic feet of storage. All right, so now we're out in the Land Rover Defender, and although Land Rover would prefer people do a lot of rock crawling with this vehicle, I'm sure there are plenty of people who are just gonna do some mall crawling and never take this thing off-road. So let's see how it handles out on a normal paved road. And for that, we're gonna start by talking about the engines, and there are two of them here in the US. No diesel option here in America. Sorry, people who love diesels. You can either get what's called the P300, that's a 2-liter, 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, produces pretty good numbers for a 4-cylinder, 296 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, gets the Defender up from 0 to 60 in about 7.7 seconds, at least that's what Land Rover claims. We have the bigger motor, which is what I've seen most people testing. It's called the P400, so that is a 3-liter inline-6 engine. It's kind of a new engine for Land Rover. They offer it across their lineup in various states of tune. We have it in like the aggressive state of tune where it makes 395 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque, which is plenty. I know this is a heavy vehicle, like weighing a lot, but it does a really nice job motivating the Defender up to 60 miles an hour in about 5.8 seconds, according to Land Rover, which seems a bit optimistic, but honestly, you put the power down, like let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and turn around and we're gonna put some gas on. Ooh, it's smooth. I really love this engine. So what's special about this inline-6 engine is that not only is it turbocharged, but it is 48 volt. It is what's called a mild hybrid. So you have an electric supercharger spooling the turbo, helping with the stop-start, providing extra power and torque on the gaps, like when you're shifting, things like that. We have this beautiful 8-speed automatic transmission that's super smooth. This is one of the smoothest drivetrains I think I've ever driven in an SUV. There's no vibration, there's no harshness of the shifts, just smooth power delivery. Even when you're not expecting to have power, it's immediate. There's very little turbo lag because of that 48 volt system. So watch, I'm gonna get through this turn and I'm gonna floor it just out of nowhere and we're gonna see what happens. All right, let's go. A little bit of irresponsiveness, but then woo, plenty of power, plenty of smoothness. Wow. That is fantastic. I really do love this engine. And that 48 volt mild hybrid system, as I mentioned, is really going to help during stop starts. It can operate that system and keep the air conditioning and stuff running while it's stopped. And when the engine fires up, it's going to be much smoother than in a normal regular gas engine car. Although I will say that I've been driving this car for about a week now. It has not stop started once. I'm not really sure what's up with that, but it has not engaged by itself. I don't have it deactivated. It just hasn't done it. So I can't really tell you what's up there. And that should help with fuel economy as well, although I can tell you that this is a very big vehicle with a very nicely sized engine. You're not gonna expect amazing fuel economy. Land Rover quotes 17 mpg in the city, 22 on the highway, and 19 mpg combined. I've been averaging about 16.6. So don't expect amazing numbers, but don't expect abysmal V8 numbers either. And this car is very good at towing. The max towing capacity is a little over 8,000 pounds, so you can probably tow your boat behind this as well. So if you were shopping for like a Tahoe or something like that, but you wanted the off-road capability of the Defender does beat out the Jeep Wrangler and the Jeep Gladiator in terms of towing capacity. Now, I have to talk to you about how this car drives out on the road. It is wonderful. I can't believe that this car has the off-road capability it has, but yet it's so comfortable. It's quiet out on the road. You do notice, because, you know, the cabin is very like bare metal and stuff like that, you hear a little bit of like rubbing adjustments and things like that when you're driving at very slow speeds without the radio on or something like that, but those go away the minute you start hitting any normal speed. It's quiet on the highway. The air suspension rides beautifully. The steering is obviously, it's very loose steering. That's what you want when you're off-roading, but it feels a little bit more precise to me than something like a Wrangler or the Lexus GX 460. And amazingly, the four-corner air suspension, when you take this car around a corner a little too quickly, as I'm about to do, there is body lean, but it feels so much more controlled than I thought I would. I don't feel like I'm about to tip over or anything crazy like that. I'm amazed at this car's on-road dynamics. But of course, this car wasn't just built to be driven on the road. It was built to get muddy. So that's why we're going to take this to the Ocala National Forest and see what it'll do when the road runs out. All right, so we have brought the Defender out to the Ocala National Forest, our normal off-road spot, to see how well it fares when the road runs out. And the first thing we always like to do here is drive it on the access roads. Now, these are pretty smooth, you know, it's sort of a mix of clay and there's some rocks and gravel and stuff like that. I'm gonna be honest with you, you could drive over this in a Toyota Corolla, it would be no problem. However, it does help when you have a more comfortable vehicle like the Defender. So we've taken a multitude of vehicles out here. We took the Jeep Gladiator Mojave out here, we took the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon out here, and we took the Lexus GX out of here. And I wanna say that this is probably the second most comfortable car we've had. The Mojave is still just amazing because of those Fox shocks. It's able to absorb the impact of this road much better than anything else. But the air suspension here is able to soak up the huge impacts when we go over like a bigger bump amazingly. You almost don't even feel like there's ever going to be a bump. Now, there are some instances where you'll feel the road surface like a washboard kind of vibrate the car a little bit, but we just went over a huge rut there and this thing glides over it. So this is not the best example of the Defender's off-road prowess. For that, we're gonna go and find a little more challenging off-road course. So now I'm on a little bit of a smaller road. I have the terrain management system set to grass, gravel, and snow, although I might want to switch it to sand because this is a very sandy road here. Now this runs parallel to the access road that I was just on, and this has some really big ruts that, you know, really challenges the wheel articulation. You can hear our camera stuff bouncing around in the back, but even though the truck is bouncing around a lot, I'm not really bouncing around all that much. This is a very comfortable ride and I have so much traction here. The terrain management system is working wonders to make sure that I still have grip in this scenario and that I'm not losing it, even though this is very soft sand now. It is very stable. We're going over a huge bump here. Oh man, barely felt that. This is just awesome. Great on this type of road as well. All right, so our first obstacle that's really challenging, we're gonna go up a steep uphill that is clay and rock, so not a lot of traction here. So I'm gonna need 4 low for this. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna push neutral, put it into neutral, then I'm gonna put it into 4 low. That's gonna engage automatically just on that button. Now I can put it back in drive. And I'm also gonna go ahead and go into my terrain response and I'm gonna shift this all the way over to rock crawl. So what rock crawl is going to do is automatically lift up the air suspension. Remember, we can lift that up by 5.7 inches. That's going to give us a lot more ground clearance as we're going up this massive incline. And okay, we're going to send it up the hill. Let's go. Here we go. Nose goes up to the sky. Oh my God, that was too easy. All right, so now we're gonna try going down the same hill that we just tried, and for that, I'm gonna show off two features to you. So we've got hill descent control. You push this button and basically that's gonna allow you to go downhill off-road, and it's gonna modulate the brakes by itself, so you don't even need to touch the brake pedal, which is a pretty cool feature. I also wanna show off this car's amazing cameras. So these are the on-road functions. Look at how amazing this is. You get like a 3D model of the vehicle. So look, I was able to line myself up perfectly to go up this hill without even using a spotter, although I do happen to have a spotter with me today. You also have an off-road mode. So look, you can see the wheel articulation there. So I don't even need film equipment. I can just use the built-in cameras here on the Defender for this. This is awesome. So you will never have to worry about curbing a wheel, even if you're off-roading by yourself, although I always recommend bringing a spotter. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna bring this car forward. I'm gonna creep over with the brakes until I start to feel the hill descent control engage. All right, so now we're going downhill. I'm gonna take my foot off the brake and we're gonna see if it detects. There we go, there we go, there we go. Smooth. I did not even touch the brake pedal. That was awesome. All right, so now we're gonna try to see the wheel articulation and some of the slow speed ability of the Defender. And for that, I'm not even gonna try four-wheel low because we've been able to get over this in four-wheel high. I do have it in the highest ground clearance setting, so we do have that. But you're gonna see on the off-road screens that it locks and unlocks the differentials as needed as it loses traction, which is really cool. So you always feel like it's gonna grab traction all by itself. So here we go. So we've already hit something. We got to go over it. No problem. Right over it. All right, now let's go over it. Both of our diffs are now locked. We're going to go over this. We've got a lot of wheel articulation here. We're going to go deep into this rut. All right, now over. Oh, yes, there we go. This thing just giddy up, climbs over stuff. All right, so now we're down. We've got one up. We might need the diffs to lock. There we go. Oh my gosh, it's so easy. This car is so smart. It just thinks about everything as you're going through it. If you need a diff locked, it'll lock it. When you're over the obstacle, it'll unlock it. It's so easy. You don't even have to do anything from the driver's seat. So that was the 2020 Land Rover Defender 110. Pricing for this 2020 model is going to start just under $50,000, $62,000 if you want the SE trim with all the features that we have here. The base model comes with like steel wheels, cloth seats. That's the one I'd get, probably not the one you'd get. We also have the bigger 6-cylinder engine. Everything as you see tested here is about $73,000, but you can go above and beyond that. There is a trim above this, and there's a bunch of packages you can add. You can add the ladder and the snorkel and all those other things. You can get one of these close to or over $100,000. So here's who would and who wouldn't buy a Defender. So this car doesn't really have any direct rivals because you have the Wrangler and the upcoming Bronco and the 4Runner. Those are much less expensive. You have the G-Wagon, which is like double the price of one of these. And then you have the Lexus GX, which is a very capable off-road vehicle as well, but it is very dated. So this is for the type of person who is buying the top fully loaded Rubicon Wrangler, doing so with no caution for their budget, and they're spending $50,000, $60,000 on that. For those type of people who want something a little more comfortable and a little more posh with a nicer badge, I think this Defender is going to do just nicely. It is an amazing off-roader. It's a great family vehicle as well because it does great on the road. It'll look good parked in front of your mansion. It'll do great parked on top of a mountain. It's just such a great blend of everything that an SUV needs to be. Land Rover, you guys really nailed it. I hope you've enjoyed this review of the Land Rover Defender. For more videos like it, be sure to check out our channel and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be alerted of all of our latest videos. And be sure to check out the CarBuzz app. That's over on iOS and Android. No matter what phone you have, you can download the CarBuzz app to check out all of our written content, including a full review of the Land Rover Defender. But I'll see you next time.